thought I'd give this, well, just a short introduction really, in regards to noise. Let's just turn on smoothing for this object, and under render, go to render properties. What do you want to do here? You don't want to go to render first, you want to go to buffers and final render and turn on noise filtering. After that is done, go to render and enable noise filtering. If you click this one now, you'll get this blank or black preview. Basically, you need to just render first. So hit F9 and make a render, and that will create a preview or information for this filter option to use. It does close the window though. It shouldn't have, but it does, so you'll have to reopen it. Let's have a look at the result though, and you can clearly see that it did remove quite a lot of the noise here. There's no way to watch the before and after. I guess you'll have to render it twice or with buffers somehow. So that's one thing that I missed in 2015 as well, the option to both look at the final render and the final render without pulse effects. Anyway, you can see though that it does have the filter is applied, and this is where you once again have to open this one because LightWave closed it. So here you can see now, because we hit F9 and rendered it, you can see that we got this preview here. You can set this to 200% to make it larger, to make the preview larger, and that's basically as far as I would go. However, since this is a YouTube video, it's all gonna be smudged out anyway, so I'm going to push it up to 400%. Note though that pushing that up to 400% is going to make the preview much slower. I'm not sure why it gets to be that much slower, but it really takes like what is this, like at least 10 seconds for it to update, or maybe 15, compared to if you have it set to 100%, where yeah, you see it's almost real time. So again, clicking 400% on that one, you might not want to do that because you will have to wait like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sort of, and yeah, it just takes much longer. So don't do that unless you're doing what I'm doing, creating a YouTube video. So you can see the result here, before and after. So certainly it's doing an interesting job, at least. I mean, you can see that it does contain the detail in this area without smudging it out, and it does smudge out this noise in that area. Now, so of course you want to tweak this though, so that it fits your need. And again, 400%, no, you should probably go with 200. But since this is a video, YouTube video, I'm going to keep it at 400. You'll just have to wait. Okay, so tolerance here is, this one is quite high. So the highest you should go here, in my opinion, is 1, or yeah, So the highest you should go is 1, and the lowest you should go is 0.01. That's kind of like a nice rule to stick by, I think. So never go like 5 or 10 or anything like that, unless you know what you're doing. So we could, so the tolerance here is quite high. Low tolerance is 0.01. I guess I could just do that and wait for it to render. So we'll have to wait for the noise reduction filter preview to update, and it should take about 15 seconds. Yeah, here we go. So now you can see that that's quite different from what we had. But that's more like it though. You can see that if you look at this area, you can certainly see that it's doing a pretty good job. And honestly, you might just want to stick to that. But you could tweak these guys as well though. Mixing these, I mean, if I check this one, it will add a filter for the normal tolerance, and if I check this one, it will add a filter for the depth tolerance. So these might, well, what's the English word for that? They might cause a, well, maybe not a conflict, but they might fight each other, those two settings. So you might want to stay to one of these guys. It does take some time to. It does take time to get to understand how this works. But for example, filter size. Think about that as your Photoshop brush. So if you've got a Photoshop brush of size 30 pixels, then it's going to smudge out a heck of a large area. If you set it to 3 pixels, then much lower, right? And this you could kind of like think about that as the hardness of the brush, how much it smudges it out. That's one way to think about it. And this, as for polygon normal tolerance, that's useful for like places like this where you have this flat area. So let's just tick that on. Remember that we got a really high setting here now, like 1, and we'll have to wait a few seconds, like 10 seconds before this updates. Of course, I got a somewhat slow computer, so that counts as well. But again, I'm running this at 400% now, so that you can see better the result on YouTube. Yeah. I didn't really think it, well, think I'm just gonna process this and send it to the image filter. Okay. Let's set this to 0.5. Let it calculate. Alright, not much of a change there. Okay, that's minimal, to say the least. And that might have to do with this being low. Let's pump that up to 5. Yeah, and the reason why this is not affecting more, or why this, I mean, this should be have a huge effect, but since this is low, this here doesn't have that much of an impact. So let's say if I say 0.2 here, that should have way more of an impact, if I get this right. Again, I'll have to wait because of this YouTube 400% preview. Yeah, so you can see how much of a change that was. So it's tricky to balance it, but well, this is way too high. But yeah, it's a bit trial and error, and once you get it going, once you get a result that you're satisfied with, well, you'll just get back to it and punch in those settings. This is 1280 720 resolution render, so you'll pretty much get to know what settings you should use for different resolutions. Yeah, so maybe I could set that to 1, and maybe I can set this to 0.2. I think that's more like it. But honestly, you might not want to mess that much with these settings. These are more advanced features, and yeah, you can read more about what exactly what the exact effect is. So you'll just hit F1 here, and it'll bring up this guy, and well, I don't know. Noise reduction filter, PNG, okay. Yeah. Okay, filter list. Nope. Well, that's it. Yeah, here we go. So this is going to explain it further. Let's see. Okay, you know what? This is kind of limited. Yeah, well, I thought it would go more in detail, but yeah, pretty much use depth tolerance, compares pixels that are given tolerance for difference in depth in the scene. Of course, polynormal tolerance compares the quotients of angles between the scene and the normals. So this could be very useful if you have flat objects or faceted objects. But honestly, tweaking this stuff is, I mean, you could do that forever and you'll get slightly better results. But you might just want to stick to this one and mess with these settings. You can see that yeah. Yeah, by the way, I got to pull down here final render, and that's, I only got that one because that's the only one with noise filtering. If I set noise filtering on the alpha as well, then I would have that option here. So yeah, only deal with these two guys if you're, well, if you want to go bananas. And but I do find this one interesting though, and this one could be interesting if you're rendering a lot of depth of field stuff. It could be useful in that regard, perhaps. So something to think about. The thing though is that this noise filter, it's not really going to make the renders fantastic. It's just there to help give a nice render, really. And that's that. In regards to this, compared to video denoisers, this is different because this takes into account that it is an actual 3D object. So LightWave knows where to put this, where to reduce the noise on the object compared to edges and stuff. And also, of course, in this case, even when it comes to normals, the polygon normals, and a video editor, a noise reduction plugin is not going to do that. That said, there are things that are better when it comes to video denoisers, because you got something called temporal noise reduction, and when you use video noise reducers, and that is that they actually compare the first frame to the second frame and see what changed in between and reduce noise based on that. And currently LightWave doesn't have that. I'm not really sure of any 3D application that has that for the 3D objects. But yeah, so that's, you might want to Google up on that temporal noise reduction. All the new ones, all the new video editors does use that right now. Neat Video, for example, does have it. DaVinci Resolve has it. I'm not sure if Headfilm has it, probably. But anyway, this noise reduction here is frame by frame. It doesn't compare the first frame to the second frame and then makes an estimate. Anyway, long talk. So that's the question here, though, is do you want to do this a lot, or do you want to just keep it slightly denoised? I would go for the slightly denoised option. Because it's too easy that the result becomes a blur, and I mean, that's not going to look all that neat either. So something to also know is that if you tweak this too much, sometimes you will have an aliased effect on angled lines. So be aware of that. That if you get an aliased line here, then you should try to lower your either filter size or tolerance. Process and send. So that's that. I guess I could just say 0.0. And wait a few seconds again. Once again, this is because I'm running 400% and I'm doing this on YouTube. Okay, process and send to image. Let's see. Yeah, click this one. So here we go, without any effect. So let's have a look at how this turned out. So yeah, here you can see the comparison. If I toggle between these two images, you can see how that works. It's interesting though in regards to motion, uh, because this noise filter is actually reducing the noise on the 3D object. That means that it will be damn accurate as far as when this, for example, head is moving around and rotating, looking to the sides. The noise filter will always know where every polygon is and reduce the noise correctly based on that. A temporal noise filter that you have in video applications will not do that. So that might be an interesting point as far as animating motion. That there might be advantages to doing this in LightWave in regards to reducing noise in motion. But anyway, was that a long enough talk? I think it was. Do consider doing this in LightWave or in a video editor. Another thing about doing this in LightWave is that you're not going to get that ghosting effect that a lot of video editors have when they use temporal noise, where they kind of like smudge out the edge of the object. You're not going to get that in LightWave because it's actually denoising the 3D object itself in a more logic way. But anyway, a very good alternative, very good option. So yeah, a few notes on that.